What did you discuss back in the hotel room?
Nothing, just friends, just like cruise chef and Kennedy and everybody. When the people, all of the politicians of all other white races come together, and they, although they believe different, they think different, whites can come together and discuss the common cause. But whenever a few of us come together, the world is shook up. And I say, whatever went back there is our business.
Reverend King, do you agree?
Oh, yes, yes. We had a very good discussion on many matters. And, of course, these are not things that we would discuss here. But we do have common problems and common concerns. And above all, as Muhammad Ali has just said, we are all victims of the same system of oppression. And even though we may have different religious beliefs, this does not at all bring about a difference in terms of our concerns. And I think until we have a radical reordering of priorities in our country, we are going more and more to the depths and, I should say, to the doom that follows arrogance of power, as Senator Fulbright said.
All right, Odd fam. Thanks for joining us with another one. We've been oddballing for a long time. We've been talking sports, but you know what we started, what we love doing is grassrooting it in our community, flipping the stories that you may not have heard, people who live right beside you, you shop with, you live life with. You're like, dang, they got a story like that. Yeah, we all do. So, with the OddPod, your boy Mark J, co-host.
Hi, Rashad. I want to get to our special guest. We honored to be here.
Yes, we have a really special guest. Today's episode isn't just a conversation; it's a timeline. On this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we're sitting with someone whose life just doesn't just remember history, but lived it. Our guest marched right here in Louisville at just 13 years old. Her grandfather owned the only Black-owned florist shop west of the 9th Street Divide. Her mother shattered barriers as the first Black woman in Kentucky to graduate from Indiana's University School of Music at the time when education itself was denied, sparse for so many of us. Our guest herself went on to serve her community as a nurse and later becoming a historian of her own bloodline, chronicling over more than 200 years of family history in her book, Whitlock's Compositions. A story that begins in slavery and stretches into legacy. Today, we're not just honoring Dr. King, we're honoring the people who walked beside the movement and carried it forward in quiet and powerful ways. This is history, memory, and purpose, all in one voice. Welcome to the OddPod. MLK interview with, introduce yourself.
I am Charlene Hampton Holloway, Louisville native, and I was inspired to write a book after my grandfather, the first Black florist owner in the city of Louisville. He opened his florist business in 1923, and he was a son of a born slave. And he knew his grandmother, his father's mother, and she was born about 1844. And he wanted me to know the family history. That's what inspired me so much. He wanted me to be able to pass it down from generation to generation.
So in your book, Whitlock's Compositions, available on many platforms to purchase, but where does it start and why does it start at that particular place?
They actually it starts with my listening to my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
I had asked him to teach me to design flowers like he was such a artistic florist. But he told me before he did, he felt like it was necessary for me to know our family history. And when he started telling me about his grandmother, he knew her. She was a born slave. It kind of upset me. And at the time when I was growing up, we couldn't go in the major movie theaters up and down 4th Street.
Okay.
And Louisville was sorely segregated. I mean, we would have to, when I'd go with my grandfather, like to a fish place, I won't name it downtown, we had to go to the back door and stand outside. And my grandfather would order the fish and we'd have to eat it in the car, take it home. And then by the time it got cold, rewarm it. And I couldn't understand what had we done what Black people, what have we done to be treated this way? And one summer in 1960, I had a chance to go to Atlanta, Georgia with my maternal grandmother. And right here in Louisville, the signs are still up inside the old Union Station in 10th and Broadway that says colored waiting only.
Still up to this day.
Yes, because it's history. And there were stores here in Louisville. I won't say major stores, but, it had on the bathrooms, colored only bathroom, white
Mhm.
only bathroom. That just really bothered me. But when I went to Atlanta with my grandmother at Union Station, my mother's sister, Mildred, took us downtown, and she said, you need to see Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He
Mm.
marching outside of a department store and called Riches. And they were very peaceful, and they were trying to get people in the city to open the door, begin integration. I called my parents. I was so excited and touched. And I said, if he ever comes to Louisville, I said, I want to march. I don't mind if it means going to jail. And I was 13 at the time. He did come to Louisville. Dr. King came to our city quite often in the 60s. I met him at Quinn Chapel AME Church, and that building is still there. Hopefully, they'll make it a museum one day, because even I understand Rosa Parks spoke there. But we had our rally there every day. My parents allowed me to join the marches. I was in 8th grade at Manly Junior High, and I was blessed. I had parents who were activists also. They could not march. They could not go to jail. They would lose their jobs. So it was
Mm.
us teenagers to step out on faith that we wouldn't get hurt. And it's remarkable here in Louisville, there was very few bad incidents. We weren't like in Mississippi or down deep south where they sick dogs on the children and they bit them. There was pushing and shoving up and down 4th Street where we marched holding our signs. But we just said, well, push us. We're going to still march every day. And I'm just thankful that I had the opportunity to be part of that, because it is very historical. And my father was so pleased that I wanted to be part of it. He saved a lot of my documents. And when the
Mm.
Philippine Historical Society found out, they asked for them. And when I wrote my book, I did go to and consulted with Indiana University's Jacob School of Music, where I knew my mother graduated while she was living. And they confirmed Mom was the first. Selma Whitlock Charles was the first African American born in Kentucky to be admitted into Indiana University's world-renowned Jacob School of Music and graduate. And there were only about 4 or 5 Blacks on the whole campus. So I was inspired by my mother's history, just deeply. Also am excited about tomorrow night for the football, because that's my mama's alma mater. So I want to win. Yes.
So you so close to Dr. King, Martin Luther King Day, and then your
Right.
mom's alma mater playing on the same
Yes.
day.
Yes.
So Thelma, she's gonna be
Yeah.
cheering tomorrow. She's gonna be
That's
cheering.
right.
She's gonna be
Yes.
cheering.
He's up
That's
in
crazy.
heaven cheering. But
That's crazy.
I did march with Dr. King. March the 5th, 1964. I was a
Mhm.
junior male high school, because once I got a flyer, I was so active going to the meetings that I also belonged to not just the NAACP Youth Council, I belonged to CORE, Congress of Racial Equality.
Mm.
When I saw the flyer, it said Dr. King was bringing baseball legend Jackie Robinson. And all my father talked about when I was growing up, how bold Jackie Robinson was. And, he was in the service, World War II, like my dad. And I told my father, I said, we got to march. We got to march to the Capitol. We've got to join. He said, okay. So I missed the day at school, and
Mhm.
it did cause me a little problems, but they changed my letter grade. But we got that straight. But it was a moment in history and time to be there in the presence of great activists, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Abernathy, the baseball legend, Jackie Robinson. And I had those flyers, bumper stickers. And like I said, the Filson was so excited about it. They even painted on the wall a poem that I wrote about Granddaddy's grandmother, a born slave. So it took me a while first to write the story because I got really upset to think about how innocent Black people were mistreated. One side, well, back then it was the law. It was, it wasn't against the law to have slaves. It wasn't right. So, but I wanted to write while my mother was living, to write and honor her legacy. My grandfather, with my grandfather being born a son of a slave, because his father, biracial father, John Whitlock, was born a slave too in 1865. And I know you already know that a lot of Blacks didn't even know about the January 1st, 1863 Emancipation Proclamation.
For a long time.
For a long time. And Granddaddy's father was born April 1865.
Mhm.
Born slave. 2 years afterwards.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So look in our family, and for I'm not even gonna go down that road, but just for people who don't know, who may be ignorant to the fact, it's just like, just because that piece of paper was signed, some people in their minds look back and think, oh, well, Black people have been free since 18. No, these are real conversations I have with people, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to like try to make everything about me or something, but I'm like, but my great great grandfather was born a slave. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was born after the Emancipation Proclamation, so I had,
Mhm. Mhm.
so yeah, just
I have a quick question,
Okay.
not to get off subject. Back to what you were talking about, those signs that are still up. Do you think it's important to keep that type of stuff up, like as a
so we
reminder?
don't, right? Or
Right.
is it more purposeful? Like, is it more purposeful than hurtful? Like, do we have to like put a little pride aside for the purpose?
Right. I think it's important for people to see, people who go inside there, because Target's inside there now.
Right.
And those signs there, if you go inside, they're up. Because our history will be lost if we don't write
Yeah.
about it. And it's not really taught in the school systems. It's not taught.
Specifically our history too, which is
Right.
why it's more important.
That's right.
It's most important for us to chronicle our history, because
That's
ours
right.
is the most likely to get lost.
Or to be changed,
Or
like
because you don't have enough people chronicling it, or to basically be like, no, that's not how it went.
Right. And a lot of people, older people, they were ashamed that there were slaves in their family. They didn't tell the family. A lot of families don't know their history. They don't know. They don't know where to go to find the document. No.
Mm-hmm.
Right there at the Filson, I found my the 1900 census, and I found my great grandfather biracial, his death certificate.
You talking about the Filson? This is for people Louisville, Kentucky. It's for
Right.
people here,
including
and
me.
even if
This
you,
is
and
for
yeah,
me.
you found our family history at the Filson Center. Right down, when you're talking about chronicling over hundreds of years of history, you found that locally here at the Filson.
Right. 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 And you have
That's
to have a love for genealogy and
okay.
a drive to want to know and to do it takes research.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time and research. Yes.
You need to keep going. I was just gonna
Well,
say you need to do a Finding Your Roots, a Louisville edition. That's basically what you do. That's basically what you do.
right. Right. Right.
Was that is it Henry Louis Gates? Henry Louis Gates.
Yes. He
Okay, I want
does
to make sure
that
that you
for
said that.
other people.
Right, right. But you see Delroy Lindo's gonna be on there this week or something like that. Delroy and some other people. And I knew that he was British because me and you have had this conversation before about the Whitlocks originally. But I knew he was British. I'm like, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
black British on there.
Well, having my DNA analyzed in 2010. I got each percentage of the percentages of the Whitlocks that using the Whitlock through my mother's DNA, through my grandfather, and
Okay.
15% European and British. British, yes, yes,
Now to bring it back, when it comes to timeline, can you explain that to like our audience where your
yes.
family line starts?
John Whitlock's father, I already knew that he was a medical doctor. My grandfather told me that his father told him, "Would you be surprised?" He asked me, "Would you be surprised if I told you that my grandfather was a white medical doctor?" I said, "Really?" And he was white. And I had to find that research, and it wasn't in the Filson. There were articles about him, but when I went to, I took my mom to Hopkinsville for a
Right.
small signing, and I told her, I said, "Well, I'm going to the library here first," and asked if anybody knows about Dr. John C. Whitlock. And the lady said, "Oh, yes, come on upstairs." In a bound book was his 1884 Chicago, Illinois, Louisville, Kentucky published article. He actually settled in Trigg County, Kentucky in 1830 with both his parents and his paternal grandfather. But when he came to Louisville, and he had the privilege, of course, to enter a Louisville Medical Institute, which was renamed University of Louisville.
You hear that? So he graduated from the University of Louisville before it was the University of Louisville for people who don't know.
Yes, 1798 was when U of L
You
was.
right. You right.
There you go.
1798
There you go.
was when it was
Yeah.
established. But their medical school wasn't established until 1837. And here Dr. Whitlock had but what really gets me, when my mother couldn't go to U of L,
Mm-hmm.
when she graduated from Central High School, the only high school for blacks back then, it was called Central Colored High School.
Mm.
And my mother kept the program that says Central Colored High School. But when my father got out of the Army, he wanted to go back to school. He went to Municipal College, Louisville Municipal College. That was the segregated U of L. Couldn't go to U of L, couldn't go inside the door, but he could go to, and those building was the old Simmons College, Simmons University.
Yes. Yes. For those who don't know, and those locally, Simmons College.
Mhm.
I grew up at St. Stephen's, so Dr. Reverend Cosby. You got to know that. You got to know about Simmons College, but Louisville's first and only HBCU. Is that
That's
what I would say?
Louisville's first
Okay, I was
and
gonna say.
only
Okay, I just want to
HBCU.
make sure I'm right.
But U of L bought that building during the Great Depression, and because Simmons didn't have the money to keep it going, so they opened up segregated Louisville Municipal College for blacks. So that's where my father went to school. They finally opened the doors to blacks 1950, and my father 51, and my father was one of the first blacks to go to U of L. Yeah, majoring in sociology.
That's not that long ago.
Is it? I was just gonna say, is that
Not
why you
that
had a
long
daughter
ago.
who majored in sociology? Is that where she got it from?
Yeah, it's both.
Father. She loved her
Yeah,
grandfather.
yes, yes. I was amazed that she majored. I said, "Do you know your own grandfather majored in sociology?"
Mm,
And of
that's
course, she
tough.
knew my dad.
Right. That's tough. That's tough.
Yes. But when I think about MLK, I'm telling you, I never told my husband before we married that I had been in the civil rights marches. And April the 4th, 1968, I cried so hard. My husband said, "You act like you met him." I said, "I did." He said, "Yes, sure. Dr. King, you met?" I said, "Yes." And of course, he's not from Louisville. And he called my father up. He brought over a huge suitcase full of documents, my jailbird for freedom signs. And if I'm correct, I'm the only one of those 200 some teenagers that marched every day that kept those signs. And so I have those original. Just recently, in the past, I guess since September, the Filson put up more pictures of my parents, my grandfather, and my late brother, and also a picture of me wearing my jailbird freedom sign. My father was proud. He took a picture of me wearing that the first time I got out of jail.
So you were 13 years old when you first went to jail?
Yes, I was 13. April the 18th, 1961, from a deli called Cupie's on 5th Street. And there is a marker on Muhammad Ali between 4th and 5th that tells the story about the teenagers. In fact, we've been honored with markers, about 10 or 12 markers in downtown Louisville for the teenagers. And Ed Hamilton, our national sculptor from Louisville, he actually helped to sculpture those markers. So, and I'm really wish that Jefferson County schools would allow the children to take trips down there and see those markers, because it's so much history.
Totally agree.
Right.
I think someone like you is so important, and I know you already know this because you're a primary source. Like, there's no book I have to read. There's nothing. You saw it. Like, that's
Those
so
are
important for us.
your experience, your memories is fact. You know, so it's like we don't have to cross-reference it. We don't got to cross-reference with you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's living history. So why did you not tell your husband?
Well, didn't think that it was that important to him. We were young, and
Right.
I just never told him. It didn't dawn on me that he would be that interested. But he was just shocked.
That's
When my
crazy.
father brought all that, he said, "Didn't Charlene tell you she was in the civil rights marches?" And when he looked through all that, he said, "Well, because where he's from, they could go in the same movie house, but sit upstairs.
Right.
And we couldn't go in those shows. And of course, he couldn't eat in the restaurants either. Now, he faced some segregation playing basketball for
Right.
Breckenridge County.
Meade County specifically, but you know.
Yeah, he couldn't go in
Meade County.
restaurants.
Meade County, boy.
Right, right. But Louisville, Louisville was sorely segregated. I'm just happy that I had the opportunity to be a part of that history of helping to get those doors open. Yeah.
Now, when you
You
woke
are
up
the
that
history around here.
right, for real though, for real. When you woke up that day, march with Dr. King, or when he was in town, was it like, from us, we don't know. All we know is like Christmas morning, right? Was it like Christmas morning for you? Were you excited? Like, yeah, I'm about to go
Yeah.
meet Dr. King, da 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 da. Or
Yes.
were you like, I'm in the mode, I'm ready to go, fight for my rights? Like, what was your mindset as a teenager? Because this is a lot. I mean,
Right.
this is a lot for a teenager.
Well, but like I was saying, my parents and my grandparents, they hadn't done anything wrong, just the color of their skin, and it wasn't
Okay.
right. So we were steadfast, we teenagers, to try to get the doors open.
Mm-hmm.
And the mayor in 1960 of Louisville, he did not want integration. He did not want blacks to have the privileges.
Mm.
Dr. King met with him, and he didn't want it. Said blacks didn't deserve it. It wasn't that we did anything wrong. It was just
We weren't
second
deserving of,
class.
we weren't
Right.
deserving of first class civil rights.
And equal rights. We weren't
Equal rights.
deserving. Right. Yeah. And that's ludicrous, We hadn't done anything wrong. So, I had the pleasure of seeing my grandfather. There's one of the cafeterias called Blue Boar, where
Yeah.
we squatted outside Blue Boar.
Hey, I'm sorry, but if you from Shively, you got to know Blue Boars. Like, you got to know Blue Boars. If your family's from Shively, you got to know. But keep going. You're outside Blue
Right.
Boars.
Yeah. But my grandfather was so excited and proud of my brother and me, because he got arrested also one time, but that he took us out on Sundays after church to Blue Boar. He said, "We're going in that Blue Boar now." I had the parents, because some parents would not let their children be part. They were afraid. It
Right.
was on TV what the kids were being, how bad they were treated down south. I had friends I tried to recruit. One of my friends and her mother told me, stop trying to recruit my daughter. Said, I don't want my daughter beat up and all. But we didn't get beat up. There's a few people did throw rocks. It was small things. And there was pushing and shoving and name calling, of course.
Right.
But, we got the attention of the voters too. They voted in a mayor who signed the May 14th, 1963 Public Accommodations Law of Integration, and it made Louisville, Kentucky, the first city in the South to have a law of integration. The first, and teenagers. There were more arrests of teenagers here in Louisville in 61 than any other city in the South. That's how dedicated we were. Every day. My mother gave me a ride every day. I was standing outside Manley Junior High waiting for my ride, and she dropped me off at Quinn Chapel. And I told her, I said, Mom, I might have to go to jail. She said, that's okay. I'll pick you up. And she did each time. So, she was for it. She and my dad, my grandparents, they wanted to see integration. It was time. It was time.
It was time.
It was time. Right.
Now,
when I was growing
no, go ahead.
and when I was growing up, we had one park. We couldn't even go in Shawnee Park.
What
We
was
could
y'all's
not go
park? What was the name of y'all's park? And where was it?
Chickasaw Park, right there off the park, right down the street from Shawnee.
What was
But we
Shawnee
couldn't
called
go
at
in
the time?
Shawnee.
What was Shawnee called at the time?
It was Shawnee Park,
Okay.
but that we couldn't go inside. We couldn't go
Now,
inside. We couldn't go in Cherokee,
and this was up through the
Airport.
this was up through the 60s, like you're saying.
Yes. And then there was the amusement park in the West End.
Uh-oh, that's what I was about to say. Fountain Ferry Park. That's what I was about to say.
Yes, that was my second arrest. Just holding a sign, we won our freedom. They called the police, and they were so
Was it wasn't all white,
racist.
was it?
Yes.
It was all
And they
white?
were so racist. Yes,
Okay.
they were so racist that um, it took litigation. They had to be sued, and they did not open up to 1964, passed the law in 63.
Wow.
When your father told me that his mother, your grandmother, took him to that Fountain Ferry Park
Right before it closed.
before it closed. Yes. And I took Becky and Bonnie, but they don't remember. But your
Okay.
father remembers. Your father remembers. Yeah.
What year did it close?
Well, they changed the name to Ghost Town. And I think it burned about 77, 78, something like that.
If it was Mark remembered, I'm like, you gotta be at least 4. At
Right.
least 4.
He remembered.
So
I gotta see if my parents ever went. They were born in 69.
Okay.
Your parents probably slid, Rashad. They would have been perfect age. Slide down there real
Right.
quick.
I bet they went inside Fountain Ferry. I bet they did.
Now,
When
I'm
it
gonna put
opened
I'm gonna
money on
ask
it.
them.
in
I'm gonna put money on
64.
it. That's a lot of history. 13-year-old, teenagers getting arrested. Was your experience as a 13-year-old being arrested in the jail system? Were you scared? Were you taken care of? Like you said, your mom was there she was ready to pick you up, but what was your experience
Right.
like, in the paddy wagon? Did they load you up in paddy wagons?
Yeah, I rode the paddy wagon. That's what it was called.
See, I knew that.
I have the newspaper article. I went to the library and made sure I had the exact date and the article that says 39 Negroes, because we weren't called African Americans. We were called Negroes, in other words.
Mhm.
And it said arrested at Cupid's, Daily Double. But when they took us first to the big jail, your first arrest, you went to the big jail.
Mm.
But actually, we had been in school all day, and we went right after school. And of course, we were hungry and being in jail. But sometimes the police would give us potato chips or pop because we were hungry. We were kids.
Mhm.
But the second arrest, they'd ask, have you been arrested before? Yes. Fountain Ferry? Yes. Well, they took us to the children's delinquency,
Mm.
children's center. They just tore it down last year.
Yep.
The city tore that down. But before they tore it down, I took pictures. I've
Okay.
got
I was
pictures.
about
I
to
want
say.
my children and my family to see where I was taken. And my mother had to be interviewed for me to be released from jail there. Yeah.
Each time?
The first time I was eighth grade, and I was in eighth grade,
Right.
uh, and then the beginning of ninth grade each time, 13 and 14. Yes. Yes.
No, no, look, the most Louisville question. Everybody wants to know. You gave a shout out to Central, but what high school did you go to?
Actually went to Louisville Male High School.
I
The reason
graduated.
why my mother asked one of us, he's the oldest, one of you have to go to my high school, Central. So my brother went there in the 10th grade, but he wanted to take German,
Right.
and they didn't offer it at Central. So he transferred and went to Male. I said, well, this is going to be a challenge because I told him, well, if you're going to Male, I'm going to go to Male too. So I did go to Male High School. And but even at Manly, some of the teachers saw us on TV.
That's what I was going to
And
ask. That's what I was going to wrap back
yeah,
around. What pushback did you get as a child from your teachers for being someone who's active since the teenagers was the one that had to do it?
one of my teachers, Miss Gudex, she actually said, "You all don't belong in there. You don't belong in those shows now." And she kept me after school one day. She knew Dr. King was coming. So
Hmm.
I told him, I said, well, I need to tell my mother because she's a school teacher just like you. And she let me go outside and I told my mother. Mother said, I know how they are. Don't worry about it. She'll get tired. All teachers do. And as soon as she lets you go, I'll take you straight to Quinn. And that male that followed me, that I was, because my Latin teacher, Miss Milburn, she knew because they saw us on TV.
Hmm.
So there were hardly any other kids at Manly who were in the marches. And, Manly was mainly white school. So, I didn't worry. I didn't run and feel like I couldn't make it in the fairly newly integrated schools. Because the schools were integrated in 54. And right, my brother helped open up Manly Junior High School, and they were hard on him. They would take his lunch money and all. But I just felt like I'm going to mail and I'm going to pass. But like I said, when I missed that one day, that was March the 5th, 1964, when I marched in Frankfurt with my dad to the state capitol, Dr. King and Jackie Robinson. There were 10,000 of us strong. I was so excited. I kept the newspaper. I kept the Courier Journal, pictures, and when they wanted, when they actually, a lot of people didn't keep things like that, and told the Filson I had that. They said, "Can we have those papers? We would like to preserve them." So I donated them. So they have they and the only place I know who has a copy is University of Kentucky. Yeah. So, it's like I said, it's a lot of history
It
about
is.
integration, about Louisville, and yes. But no, they changed my letter grade at Mail because Miss Milburn, I guess she told some of the teachers her husband had been principal at Mail. So he was really hard on they were really hard on the blacks that went to Mail. Really hard on them about their grades, try to fail them. And when I missed that one day, they changed my letter grades. So I told my parents that they had me in the wrong class. And so my mother and the minister at my church at that time where I was baptized, they went up to Mail and they made them pull the records. And then they said, that's not a D, that's a fancy B, and put me in the right class. And I knew it was all about my missing that one day, going to Frankfurt. Yeah. But that's on them. Dr. King said turn hate into love. So And now, what are we facing? My husband just told me today, he said, Charlene, did you know one of the president's friends said he feels like schools system should go back to segregation. And they want to take us backwards. But it's not that we have to march. That we have to march.
You know,
Yeah.
Sophia just started walking, so I'm not even gonna lie. We might have to get everybody. We might need everybody marching. If you got legs, if your child's teething, but them legs is going, we gonna need everybody. We're gonna need everybody.
That's right.
But in all seriousness, I don't know. This is just me, like, not even being the host right now. I'm digesting it, and I'm just like, 13 years old, pop into the world. You probably you a child. Children don't come into the world with motives, and you feel me? So you come in and you looking at the situation, you just like, why my people's getting treated worse than these people? You were born into a life of activism based on, I'm just not gonna sit here and do nothing about it. I'm gonna do something about it.
Right.
But what I also am gonna do is I'm gonna do something productive about it. I'm gonna do something positive about it. At 13 years old, you were still being a kid and finding ways to do that as well, to balance it. But at the same time, we're just looking at it like, wow. Wow, 14 years
Well,
old, you go and get rest again. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll get into your nursing. But, just before we get into that, that's just me, listening to the story. Well, I don't know what you think, Rashad.
I just have a specific question back to you're talking about Trump's whoever said about going back to segregation.
Steve Bannon or somebody.
What do you think about Black people that say I would want to do that? Because that exists.
Those
That
who this
exists
is the
now.
I think the argument what they say is at least we owned what we had, and now we feel like since integration, the Black economics, like the money isn't flowing through the community. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that's more so their argument. So what do you think as a person who, like you said, when your family looked at it, they said it's time.
Right. I thought it was time. I started, just like my parents, I started segregated schools.
Yes.
There was all Blacks. Phyllis Whitley was all Black. My mother went there, her sister, my brother. My grandmother went back to get her high school diploma. She went to Phyllis Whitley. But like I said, I could have gone to an all predominantly Black, like Duval Junior High, but I said, no, I'm going to Manley Junior High. My brother did too. I have to say, we didn't get the same books and book supplies. We didn't get the same opportunities that white people got in their schools. And they had buses before they merged city county, the county had buses for kids. We had to ride the city buses. We had to ride the city buses. There was always a difference. Always a difference.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically at the end of the day, it made life harder, and it also didn't give you as many opportunities in an
Right.
already
You wanted the
segregated
best
society.
resources.
Right. The best
Exactly.
opportunity to learn,
Resources.
the best soil for your child to grow in. Not about if it's Black or white, but this is a child that needs the best soil, it needs the most fertile, it needs the most watering. So, and if I want that
Right.
child to be what it's going to be at its greatest, unfortunately, I'm about to give it the best resources, no matter what that looks like or whatever. That's just,
Right.
as a parent now, I
Right.
can see how I make that decision and to still say it's in the
Mhm.
betterment of my child.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to learn like some of the schools like Wheatley, you just said was like one of the predominantly Black schools. Like these schools that's right in our face and just the history behind them. Like
Right.
it's interesting.
Right. Like our people's houses run up onto them and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like communities we've
Yeah.
always lived in, and we, just because we went to Mazika or this and that, it's like, or like speaking of history, like before we go into your stuff, like what are just like some like Easter eggs or just like some unknown like local Black history you feel like is important? Like you said earlier, Quinn Chapel, Rosa Parks. Like I know you mentioned this before. Martin Luther King's brother, did he have any ties to Louisville? Is
Right.
that why he came here?
Yes. Yes. I was a part of the open housing. In fact, your grandfather Vincent told me he was part of it.
Really?
He said he marched for the open. Yes. because,
Really?
you
Okay.
know, there was redlining.
Yeah.
There was redlining. And a lot of people don't realize this. Like Chestnut Street, when you go west, it's River Park Drive. That was done on purpose.
The
That was
video,
done on purpose.
And that's
Vermont,
why it's so important for you to be a primary source. But go ahead.
yes, right. They're not going to tell you. They try to cover. They try to cover that history, but it's true.
Why was it two names?
Why
What was the
would
purpose?
Because it was a separate. Blacks were supposed to be down there in the West. Those were homes for whites,
So
just
basically
like the
the
amusement
name
park.
once the names of the streets change, this ain't your town no more, basically. Same street,
That's right.
but the names
That's right.
changes ain't.
That's right. That's right. Right. Right.
Marcus, real quick. I think you'll have to show her that video. I want to see if she knows that woman in that video.
The lady in the video.
Yes.
Did you? Here it is.
Cynthia.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
You know who that is?
Yes, I do. I sure do.
Okay, so
Believe it or not, my mother marched with her, Dick Gregory,
Dick Gregory.
Reverend Lewis Combs, yes, to stomp out drugs. My mother was in her 80s. And Dick Gregory, like I said, Mom was an activist. And they marched on,
This happened.
I guess it was about the year 2000, 2001.
I was about to say,
Yes.
I'm like, what a intersectionality of me mommy being alive and Dick Gregory.
Right.
But
Yes.
still,
And she
at
and
80
Maddie,
at
she was with
80s.
Maddie Jones. Yeah, and she was with Maddie Jones and Ann Braden. Dick Gregory, he came here. And Louis Coleman. They were all activists.
Louis Coleman.
Reverend Louis Coleman, yes. Yeah,
That
like
is
I said,
street.
my mother was an activist too. I felt like she was an activist from the time that she entered Indiana University in 1935. Like I said.
Whether
And
she wanted to be or not.
right,
You
because
know.
she wanted that education. They admitted her, and she had to accept one teacher who made a remark, just said it out loud, told the students, they were class of 14. Mom said, the teacher told them, well, if the kids act bad, tell them the niggers are going to get them. And I said, how did that make you feel, Mama? She said, I just acted like I didn't hear her, and I just said, I'm going to study harder and make A's. I said, good for you, Mama. So I feel like I got a lot of my activism through my mom and my father as well. And I have his World War II papers that show that he was in the black section. You know, he slept in separate barracks, ate in separate dining house during World War II. The armed force, they didn't.
It wasn't no different.
They didn't. Right. They didn't integrate until 1948.
Yep. There you go. That's why I'm like, that was fairly recent and after World War II.
Right.
Like, and yeah, just black infantries and things like that, which is why, no offense, just to bring this up, Rashad, it's so confounding when we have these conversations of intersectionality and we're talking to a white person about the purpose of the HBCU and why it served, why we didn't have places to go, so we had to create opportunities. And then we hear things like, well, the reason Simmons isn't here today is because of the Great Depression, and we know the Great Depression hit black communities or lower communities harder. We can go through all the situations while PWIs are still here, all this blah, blah, blah. But forgot what I was even about to relay it back to.
The separation of like.
But just like the necessary, like why it's necessary. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
It was
these
born
things
out of
just
need.
wasn't a lot of things, and we look at it today, in the administration today maybe, and it's like, we don't need black this and black that, da da da. And it's like, you act like we just made this up. We made this out of necessity because you would give it to us and we had to create our own opportunities. Now you're saying now opportunities are created for you. You don't need that anymore. It's kind of racist for real. And it's like, this is Black history. Like, don't. And that's why
Right.
we need primary sources like you, because you're going to let us know, like, nah, I couldn't go in there. I couldn't do this. I didn't have that. My mama had to do this. She probably would have wanted to go to school in Kentucky somewhere, but she had to go to the
Right.
place that only accepted
Right.
5 of us, and she had to get the golden ticket,
Uh-huh.
like Willy Wonka.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just
Mhm.
like,
We
just keep it
we
above.
would basically, as a people, be ignorant to put everything on making sure we're gonna be given opportunity by them, honestly. So, like, that's why HBCUs are born and stuff like that. Like, we would
Uh-huh.
be
Yeah.
like, if they didn't exist, so we're just basically, like you said, hoping you gonna be one of the 5 people that get in? What about
Right.
the rest?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know,
So
and that's
the fact that I even had to have that conversation to explain to someone like, "Hey," like, and it was real.
no,
He
it
was
was
trying to
genuine. It
understand,
was
I'll give him
genuine.
that.
That yeah.
It wasn't like he was just like, "Why?" And I'm just like, out of necessity, like, I mean, literally. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Mhm.
Uh,
Right.
now you talk about your father in World War II. So what? You just with you being a nurse, do you think that instilled a level of service along with activism? Do you think, or do you think both your parents, you saw your mom doing it, or was it? Did you just want to be a nurse? Is that what you fell in love with? How'd you get to that point?
I fell in love with nursing because my mother's sister, Mildred,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a registered nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And the first Black RN in Kentucky, Mary Merritt, she wanted to be a registered nurse. She had to leave Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky legislators brought in the day law in 1904. That law was blacks and whites could not sit in the same college classrooms together. She was at Berea. And she taught school, saved her money, Mary married, and she went to Freedmen's College in Washington, D.C., connected to HBCU, Howard University,
I'm about to say
got her
Freedman's.
art,
Yeah.
yes, and came back to Louisville and helped start a LPN nursing program at the Red Cross Hospital, the
Mm.
segregated hospital where I was born. Then, but she wanted to be a registered nurse. When she
Mm-hmm.
found out about Homer G. Phillips School of Nursing in St. Louis, my mother
Mildred.
said she gave her $5 bus ticket. She got
Mm-hmm.
in and she became the registered nurse that she wanted to be. That really inspired me. And I said, well, I think I want to be a registered nurse too. And really, even in the 60s, it wasn't that easy to get in nursing school here in Louisville, Kentucky. 50s and 60s, it wasn't that easy.
So what'd you have to do?
Well, I was the first single nursing student at WKU. And the second semester, I did fine on my grades. 7 o'clock chemistry class. I had chemistry in high school at Male. So to me, it was easy. But when the lady who gave me the foreword to my book, Becky's godmother, Dorothy Jean Letcher, she asked the nursing director, we went in her office and she asked her, may I please be in the nursing program like Charlene Hampton? And first thing she said, what high school did you go to? She said, I graduated from Central. She said, those who people go to Central are smart enough to be in my nursing program. Well, my mother didn't have a choice. That was the only high school. And I knew my mother had more education than this woman. And I just let her know. And so she told me, for what I told her, she's talking about my mother's high school, that I would never be a nurse. She'll make sure all my teachers fail me and that I would never be a registered nurse. But I came home, I called my parents and told them, they said, well, we know how you feel about integration and equal rights for everybody. And I said, maybe I'll find a school one day that right in my own city that I can, become the registered nurse that I knew I could be, which
Right.
I did. And I'm proud because, if my auntie could do it, I could do it. And all 3 of her daughters graduate from that same nursing school in Homer G. Phillips.
St. Louis.
Yes.
And Mary Merritt was the one that created the opportunities for us, right? Is that what you said at the beginning?
Yes. For
And that goes
nursing. Mary married.
and that goes back to
Yes.
creating opportunity. Historically, we just know creating opportunities for our communities or people who look like us generally come from us. It goes back
Yes,
to our
that's
HBCU
true.
argument. It just kind of is
Right,
what it is, you know.
right.
So once you you have the person who got you into it, got your inspiration. Like, what'd you fall in love with? The people, the job, you know, what
Well,
turned it from
yes,
a job to a career for you?
nursing, seeing that you can make person better, makes them feel better, manage illnesses that they didn't want,
Mhm.
be there for them, show empathy. That meant a whole lot to me, and I love nursing.
Uh, do you feel like it's like a lifestyle, kind of like you got to be born for like just all that comes with nursing, the tough hours, the tough work, the being a people person?
Yeah,
Like, do you feel like
yes,
when you look back, it's like I was just made to be this kind of person? You know, I just found my thing compared to like
yes,
not just a job you can just go
right,
clock in at and be good at. You're not going. That's not how it works.
right, right, right. Yes, I think I was born to be a nurse.
You're born to take care of your people through writing, through medicine, through when with the activism at the corner, like at the corner of activism and nursing, outside of people trying to stop you before you got started. Did you see any inequities within the system while you worked that were different? You know,
Oh yes,
this would have been after
yes,
segregation for the audiences. This is integration now. So are there still things that you saw or that you had to go through or Black nurses had to go through specifically?
yes, yes, definitely, definitely,
Any
definitely.
anything like just stand out?
Right. Well, I think even though I was asked to be the first African American nurse executive manager of the VNA mental health department, I had to work harder than the other executive managers. I
Okay.
did. I had to work harder. I really did. And I think that goes along with a lot of different types of careers that Blacks have to work a little harder to maintain.
So do you feel like once integration came, like that was the way that like I can't do this to you anymore, I can't do this to you anymore, but I can kind of move this invisible line to where it's
Yes,
like I can't do what I used to do, but I can make your life a little tougher, so that's what I have to settle for?
exactly.
Okay. I just want
Exactly.
Correct.
I just want people redlining and career wise, but I just
Mhm.
want people to realize that people who don't
Right.
sometimes we don't make the connections. We're just like, well, segregation's over. Black people cool now. And it's just like, no, the line just got
No.
moved to a way that is still, like you say, is within the confines of legality. Like I can still get away with it legally. Like can't fire me over it, but I can still make your life
Right.
harder. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. Mhm.
so it just turned more subtle.
Right. I look at, my husband. He was forced to work, 3 to 11 shift. He asked if he could have day shift. They brought in more people to hire supervisors, but they were white. They got day shift. And his boss told him, well, when he asked if you want your job, you take what I offered you. And until that guy left and another supervisor knew he had a heart and he said it's not right because my husband, he missed a lot of years of 311 with the children. They were with me most of the time.
Mhm.
I mean, some on the weekends, but the opportunities were not given to him. But he stayed anyway, and a superintendent with a heart told him himself, "I know it's not right the way you've been done, and you're going to get day shift now." So, so the last 13 years he got day shift, and they told him it's because actually of his talents and the way he managed. He got more production on 311 shift than the day shift and the night shift combined. He had to work harder. He had to work harder. Racism is not gone anywhere.
That's just a
It's still
systemic.
alive. Yes.
Um,
And the fact that
no, go ahead. Go
the
ahead.
Smithsonian
Yeah.
Now, you know, Trump told J.D. Vance to start taking things out of the Smithsonian National African American Museum. They removed
I knew.
things.
Yeah, and what's messed up? You know what's messed up? I just figured America, like, before I can take my kids up there to see the African American, because I haven't been either. I want to take my kids though. I've been waiting because I want to take my kids. So I'm like, I'll
Hmm.
just do a family trip. It'll still be there by the time we get there. I regret not going.
Oh, yeah.
I regret because it might not be there. The one in South Carolina might not be there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, uh, it's almost like disorientating to where I'm like, and you're probably like, yeah, boy, like this is how I grew up. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's like I just took it for granted. Isn't that crazy? Like, that we have to take. It goes back to chronicling our history. It goes back to you, primary source, and the things we keep
Hmm.
hitting on throughout the thing. Because, like, where are we gonna get it when it's all gone?
Right.
That
Right.
turns your book, in which you probably look at it and probably like, I'll probably sell it for this price. But it makes it worth every day that goes by, or every step that this goes, your book goes up in true, like, human worth, like what it can do for people, like, or just not letting things go. That's what I think about when you say that. When I hear that, I'm like, are we
It almost
serious?
makes it priceless, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. It starts to make it where it's like, nah, man, like, because where else we gonna get it?
There's no amount that would make me give this information up. Like
Hmm. Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
right.
That's
It
right.
starts to become that. It's like a green book or something. You know what I'm saying? Just something with that kind of value, or like a
Right.
green book probably was sold for this
Right.
much, but its value, oh my
Hmm.
goodness. So just,
can't put a price on it.
yeah, just that. But look, and we talking about this. I'm like, we hadn't even got to the book yet for real. Look, so I'm looking at your mom. What year was your mom born in?
1917,
You talk about her
February
like
26th.
But you talk about her like, yeah, getting my education, getting this, getting that, having a family. You're not, we haven't disclosed this to the audience, but you're a family woman. You talking about all this, the husband, 3 kids. You doing all this, everything, So it's like she felt like a modern woman by today's standard. 100 years ago, over 100 years ago she was born. She was a modern woman by today's
Hmm.
standards. Do you feel like? And I
Yes.
look at you and I think you you kind of set that standard for y'all two, both kind of set that standard for my mama. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't even know how to ask the question, because, like, how do you do it all? You just look back and be like, we just made it work? Or is it like, we
Right.
stayed
We just
disciplined, we
made it
stayed
work.
focused, we
That's
just put
it.
God
Stay
first?
focused.
Like, give me your secret
Yes.
ingredient. Like, how do I do it all? And it may not be perfect, but how do I look back and say, I'm happy?
Right. Well, like I said, my mom did it, so I felt like I could do it, and definitely your mother definitely said I can do it. It's generational. For me, it's generational. We have to encourage our children, and I told my children, you're smart and you can learn and you can obtain degrees. I told my children that. Don't ever think that you can't.
You feel like education is the tip of the spear when it comes to that? Like, when it comes to, like, prioritizing it? Like, would you say, God and education and family? Just a secret recipe. Like, for people who's like, they look back and be like, dang, I want to be like that person.
Right.
What would you march it? Like, what do you think the 13-year-old you would look at you today and all the fruits on the tree and be like, dang. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I think about. Do you think 13-year-old would be in awe of the life you lived and the experiences
Think so.
and the
I
barriers
think
from
so. Yes.
marching with Dr. King all the way to nursing
Yes.
school? I ain't gonna do this. You're gonna
Yes.
try to change my letter grade. This
Yes.
and
Right.
that's what I
Right.
think.
Yes. Well, the book is to inspire people to go on, never give up, never give up. What you aspire to do, just keep plugging at it. Yes.
So, getting on to the book, you talked about your motivation was your father, and he even kept a lot of your personal history. But in doing it, how did you talked about it was emotional and carrying the weight of the story of your legacy and lineage, all the ebbs and flows of it, starting out, from in the form of slavery, the just all that, just how did you deal with it? How'd you deal? Because you're trying to give us a story, right? But you take a toll. It takes a toll on you too. So how did?
Well,
Mhm.
like I said, at first I was very angry when my grandfather told me about the slaves and his father, but especially his grandmother, because he actually told me he saw the scars on her back. She was whipped, and that made me very angry. That made me very angry. So
I
I
don't know
had to
why.
get over. Like I said, I had to get over.
Yeah, because it would make me personally, not even seeing it right, it would kind of make me
Mm-hmm.
shameful. I have no reason to be, but it would make me shameful, like in a way where it's like I feel that person's like pain. So I can
Mm-hmm.
see why,
Mm-hmm.
even why it's like I'm not talking about this, bro. Like I'm not. It's ends here, and what you know is what you know, and who you are is who you are, and like it's too painful for. I can
Okay.
see that. Nonetheless, that's all I was gonna say. But
Well, I feel like our family stands on her shoulders of what she went through. She went through a lot for us. And that's something I want people to know. Never give up, because our people went through a lot.
So do you feel like
Mhm.
once you like understood that your reaction was more so like instead of I can't let it stop me, like I'll instead of letting it stop, not letting it stop you, but preventing you from putting together a book or the idea, do you feel like it motivated you where it was like, no, I gotta do something about it then. I gotta at least do something, you know?
No, I felt like I had to write it. I felt like I had to write it. Number one, I had to write about Miss Cornelia. I had to give her dues, and I had to give my grandparents their dues. I was quite proud of my grandfathers.
Hmm.
He didn't get a chance to go to college. He was from a large family. His mother died when he was 7, but he didn't give up. He didn't give up. And for him to move from a small town, Hopkinsville, to Louisville, and he had the desire to make something of himself. And his florist, he owned that florist for 68 years. 68 years. I was quite proud of my grandpa.
Anyone
Yes.
famous ever do any work
I was
for him?
quite
Like paint a sign for him or anything?
Yes, his first business sign was painted by Muhammad Ali's daddy, Mr. Cassius Clay Sr. He was a sign painter, and he painted Granddaddy's first sign he put in front of his house up there. Yes, yes. Granddaddy knew the place. In fact, at church today, I spoke to the son of a first cousin to Muhammad Ali, Sean. I spoke to him today. His daddy is the first cousin to Muhammad Ali. And
Okay.
Sean went to school with Becky.
Oh, that's Shine. I didn't know he was related. Should
Mhm,
have known. Should have known. Can't throw a rock too far,
mhm.
right? In this city. So you never, did you ever run into Lil Cassius? Back then, he wasn't Muhammad yet. He wasn't Muhammad. So you ever run into Lil Cassius?
Yes. There was ice cream parlor that a white woman owned named Ruth. She had a daughter named Charlene,
Oh, okay.
and it was at 15th and Broadway. There's a Valero service station there now, a Valero service station. And my grandfather would stop, and my brother would stop and get some ice cream. You didn't go inside, you just stood there to get your ice cream. And one day, Muhammad Ali pulled up, and in his Cadillac, his convertible. And my grandfather knew him, and
Hmm.
he would tease him, come on, let's box." And he would just laugh and said, "Come on, Mr. Whitlock," because he knew him.
Right.
And I said, "You better leave him alone before he knocks you out." But even in being around him, you just think I got to be around somebody who's now he's got a stamp in his,
That's literally what I was
and
gonna
just
wrap
like
it back
Dr.
around to.
King.
That's what I was gonna
Yes, just
wrap
like
it back
Dr.
around to.
King years ago, there was a stamp made for Dr. King. I kept mine. My mother
I
had some,
remember.
I helped
I
hers.
remember.
But to have been around those famous people, you know,
That's another thing too. Like, I mean, it's I feel like it's an impossible question to say yes, but Did you feel like you were living in like just like when it comes to black idolization, not even that, but just the cornerstones of black culture? Did you know at that time you were in community with them, let alone meeting them? You were in community with them.
Well, yes, I felt just really thrilled to be around them. But and as far as Dr. King, I was just real excited to think here I was with this man, and there's a huge monument built on the mall, National Mall, on the
Right.
top. And I got to meet him. I got to march with him. You know, like I said, I had the kind of parents that they were activists. They allowed me to be a part of it. And I'm just grateful to have been born to parents, because a lot of my people told me, my age, my parents wouldn't let me be in those marches. No, 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 because they feared what
Right,
might
right,
happen to us.
right. Well, you're not a person who well, I was just gonna say uh, it'll wrap back around, but you're not a person who's out here like fighting fear. What was y'all's process as a
No.
family? Giving y'all's fear to God. Just me asking. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. In fact, right. In fact, we had our own peace pledge of nonviolence before we went out to march each day.
Hmm.
We had our pledge of nonviolence, not to hit back, not to push back. We were told we couldn't do that because Dr. King said he felt like we could make changes in a nonviolent way. So we had to stay nonviolent. So we prayed, we sang our songs, not just we shall overcome, we sang our songs of freedom. We felt like we could make a change. And it did happen. It did happen.
I mean, I mean, I'm sorry, but I look at it today and I'm just like, you know, black teenagers are characterized as some of the most dangerous people in America. And
Right.
y'all were peacefully protesting for the rights that millions of people outside of black and woman and man and everybody gets to enjoy when they step foot in this
Uh-huh.
country by some teenagers who
Uh-huh.
today
Uh-huh.
by standards would be the opposite of what they did when you were violent to them. It's just, that's just the way I look at it. I'm just like,
Right.
it's
What?
for us, you're almost telling us a story where it's like, wow, like that sounds like a made up movie or something.
No,
It's
that's
starting to get to
amazing.
it's starting to
Right.
get to that point based on our
Like,
current context of society.
and it's like, what were you all trying to show to pledge to be nonviolence? Like, what
What was y'all
was,
yeah.
I guess, the reason? I don't know.
Yeah, like not y'all's
Well,
goal, but like why was that y'all's means to the end?
What were you trying to show to people? Like, hey,
that we should have those same rights, that we should be treated equally. It wasn't fair that we didn't have those same rights. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think
I
like
didn't have the fear.
do you think like the intense focus like led you through the flames? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I mean, I still gotta say it. Y'all teenagers, man. This is grown folks' business. That's what it felt
Right,
like. It felt like when they
right.
tell you this is grown folks' business, go ahead. But y'all was doing the grown folks' business. And y'all didn't even know the grown folks' business
But
yet. They were
mhm.
still telling.
yes, but those adults, they would have lost their jobs if they got arrested and been
Right.
there overnight. And found out, they would have been fired.
You know, it's
There's a good chance they would have been fired.
I guess I'll get into it. I don't want to get into it later, but
We don't want them to lose their.
it's sad to say, but ICE is doing the same thing.
I know.
That's
I
what makes it
know.
so sad is
I
that
know.
they're trying to still do the same things just in a different way, trying to get away with it
Hmm.
the same way. So it's
Right.
just, I can see how today is just like,
Right.
do you feel like that's traumatizing to you? Like sometimes when you look at the news after everything you've been through and you see the stuff today and you're just kind of like also carrying that weight, right? That not only just the weight of the people, but it's like, do you have that where it's like, you got a heart of an activist still beating in there?
Right.
So do you
Right.
feel like not matter of fact, to make his actual question instead of just talking. What do you feel like if Dr. King was here today, what do you think his priority would be? Do you think it would be Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? What do you think? What do you think Dr. King would just?
Well, one thing I think he would be disappointed with this administration.
I didn't want to ask you that question. But that's how I wanted to ask it. I would be like, what would he be disappointed when he came back? Would he be disappointed? He'd be like, come on, man. For real.
To take us back.
Right. Like, that's why that makes sense. It's basically, he'd be like, boy, I got my work cut out for me. So I got to get back to work.
Yes.
Got to get right back to
exactly.
work, too.
We can't give in. We can't give up.
Mm-hmm.
We can't give up. No. People have got to go to the polls. I have a T-shirt on that says vote, 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 vote. This morning I was at St. Stephen, where some of us NAACP members were asked to help with voter registration and membership drive. So we were there at 7, and we were able to get people. They recognized the NAACP today, which was great. They recognized Round Cunningham, who was our youth council leader. And, we all marched. I marched right beside him. The first time I got arrested, I was with Round. He was 17, even though he started marching at 14 in 59 with adults. It wasn't until 61 that a group of teenagers marched. Feel that people understand the NAACP is a necessity. We can't give up. It's the oldest civil rights organization in the world, and we can't give up. We can't give up. And I'm not about to see United States go backwards. What we've gained, no. So we got to encourage people to go to the polls. Believe me, there are a lot of people who don't vote. They don't use their voting.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I was about to say.
And it's ridiculous.
But then when it comes
It's
to me and talk
ridiculous.
politics half the time.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And this election coming up in May and in the fall, midterm, very important.
And I will have to say this, just something that's been on my heart. When we get into these situations of I'm just keep it a buck, Breonna Taylor, things like that, and then BLM pops up, and you're thinking, what are I heard a young community talking, what are the alternatives? What are this? What are that? Blah blah blah. And then we want to, and this is coming from the young Black community specifically I'm talking to. And then we want to, well, the NAACP is a little old, it's a little archaic. We need something more, this and that. Where are we gonna go? I don't care where it is, but where are we gonna go in community when it's time to have these kind of conversations? That's my question to my age group. Where are we gonna go? CP is telling us, yo, our membership's going down. We're our members are getting older, things like this. It's time to step up. Community, it's time to step up. And they had an event today at St. Stephen's. And the older I get, I'm thinking, well, if I'm not making it, and Rashad's not making it, and we're not making it in the community, then yes, we do have to lean on these organizations. And not only based on what they've done for us, they've done countless things for us, and they've done a lot of great work. And maybe because it's not the civil rights anymore, maybe they haven't had to fight the same kind of fight. You know what I'm saysaying? So you're not looking
That's
back
right.
and looking at them and
Right.
being like, they're a cornerstone pillar organization. Maybe it does slide off. Maybe because,
Right.
it's everything, all that. But my only thing back to that is, where are we going to go in community when it's time to have these conversations with people who are actually affected by it? Organizations like this. So I challenge people, if you're not creating one, join one. You know what I'm saying? Just don't wait until something happens in your community and then you want to ride the coattails of an organization that you don't know much about in comparison. And I'm not putting down BLM. I'm just saying, don't let the membership fall off. And then when we get into a sticky situation, we all looking around like, dang, we need somebody. And it's like, yeah, bruh, we should have been held on to. We should that should be a thing with us, where we should take our parents and their membership, and we should stay in that. Like, there's no reason to ever leave it, because the battle's never done.
Exactly.
So that's just, the older I get, the more I start to realize, yeah, I was wrong about these certain things. I'll admit it, But the reason I was wrong was in a state of not understanding. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I just want to save some people the time in their life where it's like, instead of running around and looking for something that's already there, just go to it, bro. And it's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
perfect, but
Yeah.
we're not here for perfection. We're here for action and clarity.
Right.
So just
Exactly.
something important where it's like, gosh, we be so
Yeah.
hard on ourselves
I
sometimes.
had that conversation with someone when I was down in Alabama. I was like telling her that basically I'm like, even our age group and the kids younger, I was like, we quick to like tear stuff down. I was like, but we ain't ready to build nothing else yet. So like, a lot of the generation is like cancel culture and all this. And I'm not saying necessarily, oh, they're like cancel
Uh-huh.
NAACP, but just like you said, membership falling and
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that's outdated. But it's like, but we ain't built nothing else. I just compared
Right.
it to her. I was like, it's like ripping a house down, but nobody knows how to build a house. It's like,
Right.
why do we just tear that house down? We don't, what are we
Right.
about to do? So,
It was
Right.
still a house that
Right.
same
served
thing.
its purpose very well. We just didn't agree with the
Right,
aesthetic
Right.
of it or something because we felt, oh well, that's a little
right.
like older organization. They speak more to the older people, and it's like,
Right.
oh, but because the people got older. But because one day you will be that
Hmm.
person asking for that same thing in return. I just need a little time. I just need a little
That's
effort.
right.
That's all I need. I just
That's
need us
right.
to do it together. I'm not asking you for $100,000. I'm not asking you for this. That's all I'm asking you for. And what we're doing is so fruitful that that what other purpose and meaning, what else are you doing in life that's giving you so what I'm saying? It's just it's 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 just a conundrum. It's a conundrum. But no, nonetheless, I just have to say that. So shout out to NAACP. Thank you for making us members in our family. And not only that, just like a thank you to everything they've always done, will continue to do. Like you said, we ain't going nowhere. Might be down, but we ain't never gonna be out. So, but just a point of
That's
thought.
right. That's right.
Just a point of thought. So no, but trying to think, is there anything else I really have? Just random stuff. So your husband, because you were talking about schools, your husband told me he went to a school that was financed by Frederick Douglass. His dad had to when he was young. Was it
No, it was it's called a Rosenwald School.
Rosenwald
And it
School?
was financed right. It was financed by Booker T. Washington and Julius Rosenwald. They got the money together, Julius, to build in rural South schools so Black kids could get an education. And Chet did go to what the name of the school was called Hardinsburg Training School. 2 room. And,
Segregate.
there was one in Jefferson County. Yeah. Well, yes. And his brothers and sisters, they went there. The Hardinsburg Training School.
Shout
Right.
out to everybody.
Right.
Anyone who's Black and family is from or lived in that area. Just might have to ask your peoples. You might, because that's history for real. When he told me that, I'm like, for real? That's yeah.
Hmm.
That goes back to opportunities created for us by us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In
Booker T.
terms of
Washington played a big part.
educational opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yes.
some.
Yes. Booker T. Washington. He played it. John Lewis went to a Rosenwald school. The late
Okay,
John,
okay,
yes, the late John, he went to a Rosenwald school. Yes.
tough.
Yes.
And then with the book, when it comes to Whitlock's compositions, I mean, I don't want to give too much away because I want people to go. Like I said, I'll have description. I'll have information in the descriptions, all that stuff. But we've talked about a good chunk of the timeline it takes up, but we haven't given all the specific stories and everything that you give in your book. But what's one? Do you have one thing that sticks out to you about the book? One thing that uh, do you have a favorite part? Do you have a part that people come up and be like that tell you that this is their favorite part or that interests them the most?
Think the fact of my mother going to IU. Yes. And staying the course and graduating. Then she went back and got a master's. But, that's something.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as a Black person, I think about that all the time. Going up to Indiana, being 5 Black people on the whole campus, up in Bloomington. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not even about the education part for me. It is about
We
the
don't like
security for a
driving
Black
to
woman.
Indiana just to go.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my father was from Bloomington. Growing up,
Yep.
he saw KKK, their outfits in Bloomington. For my mother to go be away from her family at 18, stay the course and stay, even with the teacher making that remark,
Right.
it just didn't bother her. She didn't let it bother. She was determined.
That's
And
like
that's the part I love about it. I
now
said, go on,
she's
Thelma. Go ahead on, Thelma.
look. Now she did all that, right? She
Mhm.
first Kentucky Black woman resident to graduate Indiana's
Uh-huh.
School of Music, Jacob.
Mhm.
Now, I know all that didn't go to waste, right? Look, what did she do musically, I guess? Was that her career once she
No,
graduated?
teaching and music.
Okay, where'd she teach at?
Today, she taught at Perry Elementary. She taught the first cousin to Jan Waddell, the first cousin to Muhammad Ali in kindergarten. She,
The Waddell Society.
and he's an artist, right? He's an artist.
Yes.
And in kindergarten, she taught me in kindergarten, and the white lady over the art came from the board and said that he couldn't have drawn that a duck free-handed like that. He must have traced it. And my mother said she went off, and that's what I'm saying. My mother, she resented African Americans being put down. She knew what she had gone through to get where
Okay.
she was. And today, when your mother came and volunteered and helped us at the St. Stephen, where we were doing the membership drive voter registration, she didn't know this AKA lady in the NAACP in our branch. I introduced her, and she told her, said, your grandmother taught me at Booker T. Washington Elementary. And she said, not only did she teach me, she gave me piano lessons. So that's what I'm saying. She was still giving piano lessons at age 90, living with me. People were calling, wanted her to continue because she encouraged people to use their talents. She really did. And I'll never forget when you were young and Janine, you were at Zion Baptist Church, where she played in the parts of the Messiah. And you presented her, I took a picture, you presenting her flowers at the end. Because my mother could play the Messiah. That's difficult music. G.F. Handel, the German composer, Messiah. She could play it without hitting a wrong note. She practiced. I was just proud of her talent. That goes back to the Bible where God gave 3 men their talents and one buried his, and she used her talent, and she used her talent throughout her whole life. And there are still people talking about, oh, Miss Hampton taught me. She gave me piano lessons. So she left a legacy.
She played the piano for anybody or anything, like any big events or just, any notable weddings.
Well, she played for all 3 of her grandchildren's weddings.
She did.
Yes, all
She did.
3.
That
She played
itself,
for the
I don't care
wedding
who you are, that's a blessing.
Well, Wesley Unseld, if you've heard about him, he was a famous center basketball player who played for U of L. My mother played for he and his wife's wedding. She played to me, he was famous. And the founder of Roots 101 African American Museum asked for my mother's picture to be on the wall in Big Mama's house, and my mother and father. So, when I go in there, I'm just so proud to see my mother's picture on the wall there. Yeah. Because she left back a legacy. She gave countless piano lessons to people who played all over parts of the world. And she did too. At 70, she was asked to fly and play for the Youth Baptist World's Fair. And so she flew to Europe and she played for it. She played for the National Baptist Convention in the old
National.
armory. She
Mm-hmm.
did. She did. She left back. Let's see. She did. Yeah.
It's just random. We get conspiratorial when we talk about the world fairs. Like I don't know why, but the world fairs turn into like a whole thing where it's like they were presenting all kind of crazy technology, all this stuff. Do you have any funny stories about
Mhm.
the world fair from your childhood or your mother's? It was your mother's, right?
Yes.
Your
But
mother's.
well, my mother won the Little Defenders first talent contest
That's
as
what
a
it did. That's what
junior
it was.
at Central. Yeah, and a free trip to the World's Fair held in Chicago.
So
Yes. And
that's how she got to go. I'm like, that's crazy. That's a movie. That's
well,
lightweight a movie.
she liked World's Fair, and she took when a woman that I know at a church here in the West End, the Girl Scouts were taking a group of people, a bus to the World's Fair in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's like 1982. And she asked me, would I like for my kids to go? And I said, well, I'm working. I can't. But my mother said, I'll take them. I've been to a World's Fair before. So Becky, Bonnie, and Chris, they went to the World's Fair. And so I followed through when they had it in I believe it was 84, 85. We went to New Orleans where the World's Fair was held. So they got to go. They got to go to the World's Fair. So it's like a generational
That's what I was
thing.
about to say.
I'm
I'm about to mess
jealous.
it up. I'm about to mess it up. I got to take the kids. I'm about to fly the kids. I'm about to fly the kids out to Dubai somewhere and be like, "Oh, gosh, why couldn't it just be around the corner?"
Right. Something crazy.
Man,
Madagascar or something.
you're such an interesting person. I'm trying to like think of all the things we talk about. That's pretty much, but you pretty much hit on it all. I mean, I will say
Right.
if you want more, you got to get a book. Yeah, but we'll end with the outro. But I just got to put that in there. God, if you want to know how the story ends, I'm not giving you all the story. I'm just giving you the ingredients. If you want, if you want the recipe, she has the book of recipes.
Yeah.
So
I need the book. I gotta add it to my library.
Okay. All right.
I got one for you too. So yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
But if anyone, I know we talked
I
about it.
think
I'm like, why haven't I
I
said
think
any?
it's worth reading. Yeah. There's
Less
Charles D.
compositions.
Parthenia. There's Selma and Mildred.
The piano, was it nurse and the piano?
Yes, a nurse and a musician and teacher.
Yes.
Yes.
Good read. We'll put all that in the description for y'all to follow her, for y'all to get information. DM her for a book, all that stuff. But keep going, Rashad. Be good.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say I do want to say thank you for. I see you like a lot of our videos and
Oh yeah.
you pay
Yes.
attention to what we're
Yeah.
putting out. So
Yes, I
thank
do.
you.
Yes, I
She's
do. Yes.
yeah. Not only
I showed them the chat too.
oh gosh. Yes, sir. That's her better half. That's her better half of how many years at this point?
Next month, the 4th, will be 59.
Oh my gosh.
50.
I hope
On the
to another
next time we have you, we might have to talk about how to be married that long.
yeah, that
We
might
need,
be
we need some tips.
Yeah. Right. We just getting started. We just getting started. She's looking at us like you little young
Right.
whippersnappers. But no,
A
and
lot
then
of give and take.
there you go. There you go. And then on top of that, if you ever want to jump on with us, if like not in this fashion, because now the community knows you and all that stuff. So it's like you don't have to jump on, give your story. It can be political events. Me and Rashad will jump on here at times and just talk about the chaos of the world, And so having your perspective would be helpful in doing so. So if you ever just, you'd be like,
Mhm.
man, the world's crazy, man. They got me messed up or something. You come talk to us about it. We'd love to hear like your perspective because like the reason I say that is because we have a lot of people who are our age and are men and are this and that, but we don't have a lot of yous. Personally, me and you're going to talk a lot about family and personal stuff and this and that. But I know Rashad echoes the same sentiments where it's like, sometimes we need to show people the importance of having maturity and wisdom in these scenarios, you know. Like sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and the person in the room who knows better, they just not in the room. There's just a bunch of voices who sound the same. So that's why I say from that perspective, I'm like, not only are you my grandmother though, like I learn a lot from you all the time. And I feel like a lot of people can also do the same if they have an opportunity to maybe do that. So like I said, it doesn't have to be this long. It doesn't have to be you know what I'm saying? But just, we'll reach out to you at times too, but just feel free. Feel free. Feel free.
Okay.
So
All right. All right. I appreciate that.
we got to give you an outro worthy of an hour and 45 minutes of your time. So as we close this conversation, what stands out most is this: history isn't something sitting behind the glass. It breathes, it works jobs, it raises families, it marches as a 13-year-old and shows up every day after that. Our guest's life reminds us that the civil rights movement didn't end with a speech or a holiday. It continued in flower shops west of invisible lines, in classrooms that weren't built for us, in hospital corridors where care became activism, and in books written so memories would not fade. On this MLK Day, let this be a reminder. The movement wasn't just led by famous names, it was sustained by ordinary people doing extraordinary things with courage, discipline, and love for their community. To our guests, thank you for carrying your ancestors with you and for trusting us with their story. And to everyone listening, don't just celebrate the dream on Martin Luther King Day. Protect it, document it, live it. This has been the OddPod with Charlene Holloway. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.